Hi there, Sandra here from createinspain. Today I'm going to show you how to do a nice simple project so that if you're learning how to use your cutting machine, you stand a chance of being able to make something that you can use, that you're going to like, and it's going to be relatively easy to make. So this is the sort of thing that I'm talking about. Now I've made this as a keychain fob and I'm going to show you how to get this kind of result. The first thing is you want a fairly heavy cardstock, one which is solid colour throughout. This happens to be stuff that I buy in Aldi or Lidl when it's on offer, and it's great. Now you notice that it's shiny, and that's because I have applied a transparent vinyl to it. Now, if you don't have any transparent vinyl in your stash, as you may not, I'm lucky enough, I do, you probably have things like laminating pouches. And you can use one side of a laminating pouch on this in exactly the same way. If you're using a laminating pouch, apply your pouch one side of your card only, run it through the laminator as you would normally, and it'll be stuck down. Now this is stuck down because it is a self-adhesive clear vinyl, and I'm going to cut out the back and the front of my key fob from this, and the two other pieces I'm going to cut in the same card but without the vinyl on, because those are going to form the inner part of the sandwich. So I've got my four pieces cut out, the two which have got the vinyl applied already, and the two which do not. Now, these two are going to have the vinyl design applied, and what you do is you have to weed out your design. I use a pin pen, which is the easiest method of doing it. Come on out. It's picking out the pieces that you weed out that's the most difficult. Go on, get off. And take out the little bits from the middle. And you might be thinking, well, this is just going to be straightforward vinyl application. Now, where did that piece go? Ah, it's on the back of my nail there. But I'm going to do something just a little bit different to what most people do. So I've got a piece of transfer tape here. So you put that over your weeded vinyl design and you press it nicely. And if you're in luck, it's going to stay in place when you peel back the backing, which it did. And now you can choose where you put it onto your design. And again, give it a rub. Now I'm using cheap contact paper to do this. It is the non-permanent variety. If you use the permanent variety, when you try and take this off, it's going to stick so well, you'll have difficulty in getting the backing off, and that will defeat the object. I'll quickly weed the other one. It's a nice easy weed. Now you can do this with an HTV as well if you want to, but with HTV you must reverse your image so that you don't get it the wrong way around. Okay, this is normal vinyl. With HTV you have to reverse your image to get it correct. I'll reuse that piece of tape because I expect it will still be okay. I'll put it on here, make sure the hole is at the top, or it'd be upside down, I won't be too clever. There we go. Now I've put a hole in this design which may or may not be big enough. It's as a placement more than anything else. You may need to make it bigger depending on what you do after this. There we go. I think that particular tape has probably had its day, so I'll throw that away. Now what I'm going to do, which is unusual, I'm going to take these pieces, put it between a piece of the baking parchment, and I'm going to run it through my laminating machine. If you don't have a laminating machine, you can use a little travel iron on a low setting, or your normal iron on a very low setting, but do keep it on a very low setting, because otherwise you'll probably just melt your vinyl. And if you're wondering why I do this particular trick, it's because it makes it look better and it makes that glue on the back of the vinyl stick better than it does normally. Now, I don't have a problem with my vinyl coming off, but anything that can make it look better is a plus. Now, if you look at that one and then you look at that one, they don't quite look the same, do they? This one looks professional and it looks like it's been made well. This one still looks like you've just stuck some vinyl on some cardboard. This one, you wouldn't guess it quite as easily. So that's going to go into my laminating machine again. If you're doing it with the heat transfer vinyl, then you simply put your design over the top of it, put it in the baking parchment again and run it through the laminator. It'll do exactly the same. It works just fine. And I'm going to show you something now. This is one that I did. This is actually HTV, but this one I did. And this one I actually covered with a varnish instead. And it doesn't look anywhere near as nice as that does. It just doesn't. It looks homemade. So now we have the back and the front, and all we need to do is to glue them together with the two middle inserts in place as well. Now, one of the good things about having a hole in here, when it comes to lining them up, if you put something through the hole, it'll be much easier to get it lined up properly. So I'm going to stick these together with a relatively fast acting wood glue. I'm going to switch my laminating machine off now because I don't need it. And you really need to take a lot of care about getting the glue to the edges, because that makes a big difference in the finished product. I need to make sure this is well and truly glued around the edges. Use a brush to make sure that the edges are covered. I need to rotate it to get it in the right place. Put that through there. And press together. Now, I do advise when you've got them all lined up, put them to one side in between clean baking parchment, because that won't stick to it, but put it to one side and put something heavy on it. I've got quite a heavy tape dispenser and that does the job quite nicely for me. Now, the other thing that I do, because I don't want impressions made in this while it is still curing, craft room cloths, and then put that on top there. Wash your brush off quickly, because this kind of glue will set in there fast and then your brush won't be very usable. So I'm going to leave that to dry and then I'm going to show you how I finish it off. Okay, this has now been resting and it is pretty dry, I think. It will continue to cure over the next day or so. Right, the next thing we need to do is to put a rivet in. Now, the reason I do put a rivet in this is twofold. Firstly, it makes it look a lot more professional. But secondly, if you put something through there, it will eventually wear away at the card and cause it to fail. So for longevity, we want to make sure that it's not going to do that. So I've got a hole punch here and I'm going to line up my punch either side of that hole, punch the correct size hole in. If you don't have one of these, you can do holes manually. You can decide what size hole you need for your particular rivet. You can cut it on the machine, you don't have to cut it afterwards. So that then goes through there. Then I slide this to its setting position and just wait until the spoke fits in through the hole, and then squeeze. And there we are, it's set. Now you can get decorative ones if you want to use a decorative one, that's fine. For these particular ones, I thought the decorative ones I got would be too big, so I didn't. So that's how you make the actual fob itself, and now you want to attach it to your keychain. So you can, if you wish, buy keychains ready-made, and you can buy jump rings, but you can also make your own. I have some galvanized aluminium here, and this is a 4 gauge. I wouldn't use anything under a 4 and expect it to last very long because it's too easy to bend and it will probably come apart. But to make jump rings, get yourself something of the appropriate diameter that you want. I've got a pen here, you can use all sorts of things, and firmly grab it and wrap it around like so. I apologise for any background noise. My husband is working on the swimming pool. He's jet washing. So, take those, squeeze them up a bit. There we are. And then you take a pair of wire snips. So I have a jump ring. Now to open it, you twist it away from itself, and then you do the reverse to close it. The other way of doing a jump ring is with these pliers, which are completely round. Now you notice I have little marks on them. That's so that I can judge where I've placed my wire. So if you want to make a jump ring with these, place your wire between the jewels and turn your pliers. Open very slightly, turn, making sure you get it on the same mark, and continue to wrap until you can see that little bit there, like so, and you have a perfect circle. You then nudge your cutters up to the edge of the finished piece and snip, and you then have another jump ring. So that's, to me, that's the easier way of doing it, but if you don't have the round pliers, then wrapping it around something round is the easier way to go. The size of the ring that you get will depend on where you put the wire in the jewels, but that's why I recommend making permanent marker marks on your jewels so that you can do various different sizes as you wish. So now you can choose to put it onto a chain or put it onto a key ring directly. It's entirely your choice, but as I said, that is the type of metal that you need for it to actually last. That won't pull away in the same way that thinner ones will. Now, if you really need to finish it off, you can take a thin brush and some acrylic varnish and just paint it around the edges. But I would not do that until this has given a chance to dry out and set for a day or two. If you want lessons on how to use the Canvas software, then I suggest you go to the Facebook group that I will also have a link to down below, because what Jennifer doesn't know about Canvas isn't worth knowing, and Canvas is not my forte. I use shortcuts a lot. Shortcuts a lot tutorials, yeah, I can do. Canvas tutorials, I could, but I won't. Okay, that's it for today. Thanks for watching. I will see you again soon. Take care now.